this is Michelle and I'm here today to share my entry into Nick the Booksmith's Classics Challenge. And the book I've chosen to make, which is my ultimate favourite book, is Jane Eyre. And I've made the cover using after following Nick's Paris book cover course. And we've got a curved spine with the title of the book there, and the book was written by Charlotte Bronte. And we've got a cameo here on the front cover, which is I believe Charlotte Bronte, or an image of her. And then that's the back. And we've got seam sari silk ribbon closure. This gorgeous sort of a soft terracotta effect cover with a darker spine. And I'll go inside. So Charlotte wrote Jane Eyre in 1840. Well, it was published in 1847 under a pseudonym which was Curran Bell, but then she later she was convinced to use her own name later on. So on the inside cover we've got the first page of her handwritten script of the book, and then I've colour coordinated the signatures to represent the different stages of the book. So the first one is Gateshead, which is where the book opens with Charlotte as a 10-year-old child, and I've done it in red to represent the red room that she gets locked into. So here's that front page there. And we've got a picture there of her throwing the book at a cousin rather. And then we've got a picture here of Charlotte locked in the red room. Jane locked in the red room, and then a quote here. So, and there's another image of Jane throwing the book to her cousin after he's hurt her. And we've got a large envelope here with some more images from different illustrated books. And then we've got another image here. This is Bessie saying goodbye to Jane as she boards the coach to go to Lowood. And there's I can't think of his name, the man that is the parrot that runs Lowood School, interviewing Jane there. And then we've got a pocket and a tuck spot here, and some red silk dupe on. And this signature, this colour represents Lowood, and we've got some plain cotton and a little bit of broderie anglaise there. And then we've got a picture here of all the girls eating food. And then we've got a flip out here, and then we've got a picture there of Jane being called a liar in front of the whole school. Of Mr. Brocklehurst, that's who it was, by Mr. Brocklehurst. And we've got some book page, and then we've got Jane here having some time out when the school's under attack from illness, so lessons have been suspended. Some map page and book pages. That one's gone in a little bit wonky. And then we've got Jane becomes a teacher at the school, and then this is when she decides to leave, and she's waiting for a letter to see if she can get a position as a governess. And then we've got her old nurse Bessie comes to see her before she leaves the school. And this is Thornfield. This is where she meets Mr. Rochester. She takes on the job as governess of his ward Adele. And here's a picture of her meeting Adele for the first time, and another quote there. And there's a picture of her meeting Mr. Rochester for the first time, and again there. And then this is to represent her dress. He invites her down to meet, and Mrs. Fairfax tells her she needs to get changed, so she puts on a plain black silk dress, and then a little pearl brooch that was given to her by Miss Temple, who was her favourite teacher at Lowood School. And we've got a flip out here and another couple of images there when Mr. Rochester brings some people back to the hall, and then this is where she saves him when his bed's set on fire. Got some Edith Holden paper, and then this is where he tricks all the ladies in the party and pretends to be an old gypsy to find out how Jane feels about him. And this image here is where Jane needs to leave him to go back to Gateshead because her aunt is ill. And we've got some quotes throughout the journal as well. And here is where they profess their love for each other. And then this is the night before the wedding, where the crazy lady in the attic, the real Mrs. Rochester, sneaks into her room and tears at her veil, and there's a piece of the veil there. And then this is where the wedding is stopped, and this is where he shows them who the real Mrs. Rochester is. And then this is where she runs away from Thornfield, and she ends up at Moor House with the Rivers family. So this is where she's running away and she's waiting for the coach, and she loses all her belongings on the coach, and this is where they find her collapsed on their doorstep at the Rivers home. And this is her painting one of the Rivers sisters and sitting having a chat with the cook, housekeeper. More book pages and a couple of quotes about love. And then this is where John Rivers comes to her at the school where he set her up with work at the schoolhouse to tell her that she's inherited a large amount of money, and she finds out that they're related as cousins. And this is where St John Rivers is asking her to marry him and go and work away as a missionary, and this is where she hears Mr. Rochester calling her and decides to go back to Thornfield, as she's now an independent, wealthy woman. And this signature is orange to represent that Thornfield Hall has burnt down. So this is the image she comes across when she reaches Thornfield Hall. And there's a quote there. More book pages and another quote here. Tea-dyed paper. Graph paper, and then we've got another page here which is the draft of the book, a copy of Charlotte's handwriting. And then we've got another quote in here, and this is where she finds Mr. Rochester at Ferndean Manor House, and often eating gold because they become happy and get married eventually at the end of the book. And we've got some quotes there. Edith Holden. And we've got a lovely image here of a bride getting out of a carriage. Lots of writing space. I didn't make it too fancy because Jane's quite a plain girl and she doesn't like lace and fanciness, so I've just only added a little bit of lace here and there. And there's an image of Jane as I imagine her. And then we've got Jane and Rochester together at the end. And another quote there. So there we go. So that's my entry into the challenge. I hope you liked it. Thanks ever so much, and I'll see you soon in the next video. Bye!